Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mayor Calvadas.
Here.
Mr. Cavanaugh.
Here.
Mrs. Passio. Here. Mr. Kozlowski.
Here.
Mr. White.
Here.
Mr. Williams. Mr. Beatrice.
Here.
Mr. Kennedy.
Here.
Mr. Baker.
Here.
Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Act has been given by the clerk in the following manner. 1. Posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Clerk's office on January 4th, 2012. 2. Emailed to the Retrospect and Courier Post on January 4th, 2012. At this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Nancy Ward, Superintendent, and Joanne Augustine, VA representative for the Runnymede Schools Districts, to address Mayor and Council regarding their budget. Thank you.
Thank you,
Nancy.
Mayor.
If you want to speak into the mics, it'll be easier for people to hear. Pull them over.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, put the fingers up in the back.
Okay. All right. I'll do my best to speak up as well. Well, I'd like to first of all thank council.
Is it red light? Is there a light?
The red light.
It's on, it's a red light.
Just doesn't sound very good.
Yours is not on.
Or it's not. All right, you can hear me, okay?
Okay.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. All right, good. The engineer solves the problem. Well, first of all, we appreciate the opportunity to present the budget, the 2012-2013 public school budget to Mayor and Council. We thank Mrs. Passio, the liaison, for making that invitation, and it's always our pleasure to inform Council as to what we're doing on our side. So, as you may be aware, but I'll make sure everybody is up to date, we joined about 90% of the school districts in the state of New Jersey. The Runnymede School Board joined about 90% of the school districts in the state of New Jersey in voting by resolution to move the election of board members, and subsequently it wound up happening in November instead of April. So subsequently the budget, as long as it stays within 2% cap, and you'll see that the budget we present to you tonight is under the 2% cap, will not be voted on by the public. So that's the resolution we were permitted by law this year. We had a lengthier presentation when we did the public hearing. I've made it a little more succinct for you tonight. Please feel free to interject questions either during the time that we're discussing it or hold your questions to the end, whatever feels best to you. We'd like to say, first of all, that we take pride in our school atmosphere. We believe that the taxpayers and residents of Runnymede want to know that they have an effective school that is safe. So we are a small school that's supportive and welcoming to our children. Our sense of community and teamwork is very apparent the minute you walk into the doors of any of our schools. The children are always nurtured to do their best. Accommodations are made for special needs, and within the last few years, we have been doing that better and better. In doing that, we have been able to keep more children in programs within the school district, as opposed to sending them to very expensive, very costly out-of-district placements, which includes transportation and specialized needs. We've found that there is a tipping point. At some point, it makes sense for us to provide the program within the district, and we've been doing that better each year. We can say that our children are well prepared for success in high school. Our test scores align with and above the state average, and it says on your handout DFG, that means District Factor Group. That means that the state of New Jersey groups all of the school districts, and the DFG are like districts by population and wealth. So we exceed that. We also have a low incidence of discipline problems. I also want to point out that the algebra scores are a measure of success in high school. Our 8th grade students, we have a cadre of 8th grade students who take algebra. And we have, for the past 2 years, taken the algebra exit test. Now, they never did make it a graduation requirement because in the state of New Jersey, the students did not ever do that well. But our students did an excellent job in the results of the algebra tests. Our students passed at 95%. We only had one student who was basic. No students were considered below basic, so we had no failures in algebra. We also match with Triton High School. We teach the same curriculum and use the same book. So last year, we conducted a community survey in order to obtain information about what the community values and what the community wants in their public school. And the results of that are prioritized in that third slide for you, Mayor and Council. And the most important was class size. The next most important, nurses, full-day kindergarten. Next, technology upgrades, counselors, sports, and then other activities. Well, you will see in this budget that we were able to craft a budget that is below the 2%, and no class sizes were reduced. Nurses are still in every school. We still have maintained full-day kindergarten, and with the addition of some state aid this year, although I will say that we're still not at the percentage that we were a few years ago before the current administration took over, but we did get additional from last year. We have used that money for technology upgrades in the schools. So when we develop our budget, we take a look at school and district educational goals, community support. So we looked at those survey results. We look at our enrollment. Are we shrinking? Are we growing? Do we need to add or subtract staff? What is our anticipated revenue, and what are our mandated regulations? So first being the district goals. The board meets every fall in a retreat, and they establish, based on test results and other data that they are analyzing, that there are certain goals that they need to establish. These are the goals for this year. It's to improve communication to parents regarding their students' progress, to improve communication to the public, improve test achievement results in language arts literacy, that's what LAL stands for, from grades 3 through 7, and improve test achievement in math in grades 5 through 7. Our enrollment trends virtually showcase that we are stable with our enrollment. That dip from 11 to 12, and that's what you're seeing, from 2002 to 2012 is about 10 students. So that really doesn't make up even one classroom, doesn't really change our class sizes very much at all. And we are remaining at about 860 students. So the challenges this year for budget development, being that we had to stay within the cap, were to make sure that we preserve the instructional program and expand what was proven to work well. Of course, we always have to meet our contractual obligations, as does every body, such as us, every public body. We had to address technology repair and upgrades and comply with mandates. HIB stands for the new harassment, intimidation, and bullying policy. And we've had to do some training with that. We've had to send our key people in district for training. We are fortunate because we were able to retain all of our staff based on the fact that we passed our budget for the past 2 years. We didn't have to hire anybody new to implement this new policy. We are also preparing for a new mandated teacher evaluation model, which has a web-based component to it. We also know that in 2015, we are going to be required to give state assessments on a web-based model. So that's going to be coming, and we have to start planning for that as well. We also had to replace some expired grant money. We got the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act money a couple of years ago, and we used that to hang on to jobs. That was helpful for us, and we also used it for some supplies and materials. We also, last year, federal grant money included the Educational Jobs Fund We had deferred that. It was actually given to us 2 years ago. We deferred it to last year, and we used it for salaries as well. And the other thing, of course, was to stay within the 2% cap. So what does the budget include? It includes current class sizes and programs, full-day kindergarten, nurse, co-curricular, adding new technology at all the schools. We're going to be adding wireless access at Bingham and Downing schools and increasing it at Bowl School. We're going to be adding iPad carts to all 3 schools and interactive whiteboards to Bingham and Downing. We believe that this is for current time and this is for future time, and our children deserve to have the opportunity to interact with and use these educational tools. Other things that it includes are some things that are facilities upgrades, maintenance and upgrades, replacing the curbing at Bingham School, resurfacing the gym floor at Bowl School, beginning to do some replacement of the glass stairway doors with fireproof doors at Bingham and Downing. That's been a recommendation of the fire marshal in every inspection for the last couple of years, so he's working with us we need to make some good faith efforts to do this replacement. And we also have an AC roof unit at Bowl School. So now I'm going to turn it over to Joanne Augustine, our business administrator, who did a nice job preparing the facts and figures, the budget piece of this. Joanne.
Okay. Good evening. The next slide talks about our state aid comparison from last year to the 12-13 year. And at the very bottom, you'll notice that there is an increase of approximately $300,000. So we were fortunate to receive that increase in state aid funding. These figures will match what was advertised in the New Jersey Spotlight website. And without this increase, we would not be able to address the facility needs of our aging buildings and the added cost of contractual obligations, as well as the program demands of operating a K-8 school district, the items that Dr. Ward had already spoke about. The next slide shows you a comparison of 2 pie charts that depict the breakdown of revenue by percentage over the last 2 school years. The total budget for 12-13 is $12,261,712, which is comprised of 3 separate and distinct parts. There's the general fund, which is your local tax levy, state aid, interest income, fund balance, and miscellaneous revenue. The second part is your special revenue, which represents your federal and state grants and entitlements. And this would include your Title I, 2A, Basic Skills, NCLB, IDEA, and non-public programs. The estimated revenue from grants and entitlements is down slightly. And then the third part is your debt service portion, which represents your principal and interest payments on bonds that were approved in previous referendums. The final payment on our bonds from the 1997 referendum have been made just this past March 15th. Going on to the next slide is a pie. Yes,
Does that mean you have no debt rate?
that's correct. We're done.
What's the savings in the budget for that this year?
Well, compared to last year, well, our last payment was $250,000 in principal plus approximately $13,000 in interest. So, and I'll get to that in the tax impact, how that will affect going forward as far as the tax levy is concerned too. In the next slide with the pie chart, the expenditure analysis by program and function. And this analysis categorizes it by the Department of Ed's expenditure classification. So the functions of an LEA, which stands for Local Educational Agency, are classified into 5 broad sections, which are instruction, support services, operation of non-instructional services, facilities, and other outlays. And then it's further broken down into sub-functions and service areas. I'm not going to, there's a lot of detail that would go in and be involved in that, but I know the pie chart's a little hard to read because the slide's small. So your biggest percentage is regular education, which is about 28%, and your regular program will include your instructional costs that are your classroom instructional costs, teacher salaries, aides, other instructional staff, classroom supplies and equipment, in addition to your special education costs, which on the pie chart shows that at 14%, and your plan operation, which is 20%. So they're your largest slices of that pie. Going on to the next slide, which is what does that mean for our taxpayers? What is the tax impact? $49.62 annual increase in the school tax for the average assessed home. This is down from last year's increase of $75.31 for the average assessed home. The total general fund school tax levy will increase $127,127. However, the debt service levy is now eliminated with a final payment that was made in March. Since the tax year, but the issue here is since the tax year is split over 2 calendar years, the impact of the 2012 will be an increase of 5 cents, which is down from the 8-cent increase in 2011. The reduction in the rate due to the elimination of the debt service will be fully realized in 2013. What
Does
are
that
some of
answer
the...
your question, Mr. Platos?
What's that?
Does that answer your question?
Somewhat, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm noticing that your aid is going up each year,
Mhm.
and for both special education and your equalization aid is going up,
Mhm. Mhm.
and your debt service is going down.
Mhm.
And I understand you're staying in the 2% cap,
Mhm.
but if your aid went up, your debt service is going down, you were still raising taxes $127,000.
Mhm. We also sustained the loss of, we were supporting our budget with our money and with the education jobs fund money.
So
And
you're
both of
supplementing
those,
that?
Yes.
right.
Those
both
were
of
salaries, and we had to move those salaries into our regular general fund
Okay.
to keep
So
those
they were
positions.
carved out for the past 2 years and then been brought back in.
Right,
And the ed jobs fund alone was about 160,000.
correct.
So that makes the difference.
So this is really less than what we lost.
Going on to the next slide on things to come, some of those highlights there are routine and required maintenance of the facility is necessary to keep our buildings operating safely and effectively. Without state grants in construction, the districts must utilize our limited reserves to address these facility maintenance issues. The method of replacing our outdated technologies and equipment will also allow our students to have access to new technologies that are being used in the workplace and other educational institutions. Any increased enrollment will bring challenges in keeping our class sizes down, and finding space to house any additional students, and also trying to keep our special education costs down. And lastly, the district is required to implement a new teacher evaluation system by piloting a program next year. Complete statewide implementation will be mandated in our 13-14 school year. And finally, to the last slide, we want to highlight that great schools equal great communities, and good schools help define our good communities. Residents can take pride in their schools and their community.
Yes, Mr. Beatrice.
The slide before the last one is probably really very unpredictable about the special education
Yes.
for the kids coming ahead. And
Yes.
as you, the results that I see or reported on the TV are mind-boggling about the number of children that require special education. Do you intend to keep them in our community schools, or
As much
you
as
think you're going
possible.
to think you might have to move them out? I don't want to say them, but I mean the students. You think you have to move
Right.
the students?
We intend to keep as many students in as possible. Those decisions are not made really at my level, but at our level, the way that we make those decisions is to say, what is our financial tipping point? In other words, if we have, for instance, 6 or 7 children who have similar needs, who may be out of district, or we don't have a program in district, I should say, then does it make more sense for us to hire a teacher and equip a classroom? Is it more cost effective? And in some cases it is. We did so last year. We brought a number of children back from out of district placements and programmed for them inside.
Which leads me to my next question.
Sure.
I'm sure that school districts have found themselves with a great number of children, more so than others. And I was wondering if there was any kind of a plan put together with the districts to come up with a shared service, maybe having I don't want to say segregate them completely, but to have let's say Runyon only has, or Runyon has a greater number. Would they be willing to? Could they share from other districts?
Right.
To pull their monies together and have a
Right.
sort of a shared service?
Well, actually, we look first to another public school. So that's the first, we're actually required to look to another public school rather than a private
I
institution.
agree with that 100%.
And so in some cases, we have our students in, For instance, we have a student who's in Collingswood because they have a specialized program, and it's more cost-effective than sending this student to a private placement. And I didn't mention anything about school choice. Right now, we don't have any students entering our program for that purpose because we're pretty much full in every category. We build it right to the edge. But we are also accepting children from other school districts who parents who want to send their children to Runnymede because they believe that the school system is better, and it's actually worked quite nicely. We had 3 choice students coming in through the course of this year, and we will have 2 new ones next year. So we anticipate 5 choice students next year. That gives us about, was it $55,000 in aid for just 5 students. So that's another way that the other thing is because there are other choice districts around us, if we didn't become a choice district, we would have lost out on this interest on the part of some parents.
My point being that I was hoping that other local school districts were talking to each other.
We do, and that's the first place that we go if we can't program for a child is to another local public school district. It's the first thing we do.
Anyone have any questions?
What did I make?
When you're going, you usually do.
No.
Okay. Does anyone in the audience have any questions? One question? Come up, give your name, and I'll turn around.
Gene Smith, 876 Orchard. I'm wondering, we have a tax reassessment. Okay, you got a 1.4% increase. How is that going to play out? I mean, the formula is going to change, correct?
We don't know when
The
it's.
formula is going to change on how the houses are going to be assessed, but the percentages don't. It's the same pie, and it just depends on how the numbers work out. The amount to be raised by taxation does not change. So when it gets reassessed, that shouldn't impact the total amount to be raised by taxation. It may change who has to pay it, but it's not going to change the amount to be raised.
So you're saying that's not going to exceed the governor's cap in any way, shape, or form?
No,
But your assessment may go up, your taxes may go up, and that percentage may go up,
That,
correct? I mean, to you
the
personally.
assessment isn't going to affect this budget, it will affect next year's. So if they stay under the 2% cap next year, that'll be under the new figures. So they'll have to work with the new assessment values.
Even though it's half year budget,
Yes.
so to speak.
Yes.
Okay, my next question is just curious. The teachers and faculty, did they receive an increase in salary this year?
Yes.
Offhand, you know what
For this 12-13 budget, it's 2.3%.
2.3%? Okay.
That was not negotiated this year. That was a multi-year contract that was negotiated and ratified, what was it, a year and a half ago?
Yes.
Yes.
A year and a half ago, that was, how does that, how many years is that?
They're 3-year contracts.
The end of
So it was
June 2013 will be the end of that contract.
Okay,
This
and
was the last year.
what was last year's, this year's, and next year's?
It was 2.8, 2.8, 2.3.
Okay, even, okay. I'm curious, because I'm a federal employee, and we haven't received a raise or an increase
Understandable.
in 3 years, and with nothing in sight, so, I'm wondering how this reflects on your budget also. I mean, this is making our taxes go up, what did you say, 127,000?
No, that's the total general fund tax levy above last year. It was for the entire 12-13 school years, it increased $127,127, which is spread amongst your, is it 2,900? 2,900.
Okay, that was just an increase for rank and file union employees, or what?
No, that's the entire school budget for 12-13.
I mean, no, the increase.
Who else received it?
For teachers, yes, who else received it?
Everybody else received a 2%.
2%. Okay, and that wasn't negotiated through a union, how was that?
No one else is represented by a collective bargaining agreement, only our teachers and some of the instructional aides.
So that was a cost of living increase?
That was what the board voted was 2%.
Okay, thank you.
Eleanor? One more.
Eleanor Kelly, 161 Forest Avenue. How many special needs children do we have? We have 860 in the school district. How many of them are special needs?
160, 140, 140.
At least, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's about 13% of our district population.
How does that compare with other districts of the same size and level?
It's actually probably right in the middle of them. It is not the lowest, it is not the highest. It's probably right in the middle. And we've actually remained static. We have not grown in our percentage over the last several years.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you do reach out to other school districts. I think that's really important, that we share the services. Thank you, a good presentation.
Thanks, Mrs. Cohen.
This time, Nancy, I'd like to thank you for being here.
We appreciate it.
Budget to us.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Motion is in order for approval of minutes of the 3/6/12 meeting and various closed session minutes as submitted by the clerk. As each member received copies of the same.
Thank you. Second. All those in favor?
We have the report of the construction official for the month of March. Total of $8,344 was collected for various permits and COs. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. We have the report of the treasurer for the period ending March 31st, 2012. Total in all accounts, $3,216,184.79. We have the report of the police chief for the month of March. A total of $135.05 was collected for various accidents, discoveries, solicitor reports, and open requests, and firearm permits. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. We have the report of the borough clerk for the month of April. A total of for the month of March. A total of $7,237.80 was collected for various licenses and permits, including dog and cat licenses. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. We have the report of the Registrar of Vital Statistics for the month of March. A total of $3,450 was collected for various death copies and marriage copies. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. We have the report of the tax collector for the month of March. A total of $148,795.40 was collected in taxes. And a total of $108,757.71 was collected in sewer payments. All monies were turned over to the treasurer. I have the report of the municipal court for the month of January. A total of $7,567.71 was collected in penalties. And for the month of February, a total of $13,253.36 was collected. All those monies were turned over to the treasurer. We have the report of the fire marshal for the month of March. A total of $6,421.49 was collected in various permit fees and registrations. There were 68 inspections completed, 2 special use permits issued, and a total of $36,506.09 in emergency medical billing for the month. All that money was turned over to the treasurer. And that's all that I have.
Can I have a motion?
Receive,
I have a motion and a second to accept the reports. All those in favor?
aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Reports are accepted.
Correspondence?
Yes.
First is a note from Pat Henry from the Trinity Social Concerns. It's a note thanking the mayor for her donation to the food bank.
Receive,
The next is a letter from Brian Lazoot Esquire, Mayor and Council regarding townhouses within the R3 zoning district. And the next letter by David Carlemere is also the same, addresses the same issue.
receive, spread.
All those in favor? Oh, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Next, we have a public hearing. This is a, open to the public. Anyone who is willing to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance alone should come up to the microphone and give their name and address.
Yeah, you haven't seen each other, wishing to speak. This time I'd like to close the public meeting.
Can I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Resolution is passed. Adopted.
Do a motion to adopt.
I move for the adoption of ordinance 1201, advertised for the law.
I'll second it.
We have to roll. Roll call.
Mr. Cavalli?
Yes.
Mr. Kozlowski? Mr. White? Mrs. Passiano? Yes. And Mr. Peters?
Yes.
That's, 4 yeses, 1 no, and 1 absent.
Okay. I move that the resolution be adopted on reading. Committee reports. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. I got a couple things I'd like to go over. The agreement between the police and the Borough Meeting has been signed by the police. We received it yesterday. The committee went over it today, line item by line item with the MOU with Rich, the mayor, and Tony Beaches, the committee. Everything is in order. So tonight I'd like to get a motion that we vote on the contract so we can proceed with the contract. And then, Rich, I tell about the addendum now? Or?
Just one little point of clarification, sir. The contract just needs to be signed.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the only action that we need to do.
Yes.
We just need to get everybody together to sign the original contract.
We have the police signatures already. They,
The action item that would be requested to, the police committee will be requesting a wall phone tonight for, will be to amend the contract that was ratified on 6/27/2011 for basically for one specific purpose, and that is to extend the time through June 30th, 2015. And the reason that the police department has requested that is because it puts it in sync with the payment grids for the Chapter 78 law that was passed for premium share on contributions. There's a 4-year phase-in of Chapter 78 that basically takes you to 25, 50, 75, and 100% of the amount that you're responsible for. That grid is finalized on June 30th, 2015. So basically, the police department is looking to put the contract in line with that. When the committee looked at this, it also gives a little breathing room to not have to be sitting down at the negotiating table, starting all over again. The recommended salary increase that would go along with that would be 3%, and that would be for an 18-month period. So basically, they would the salary would be indexed by 3% on January 1st, 2014. They would cover the period all the way through June 30th, 2015, and it averages out to 2%, which is consistent with the current budget cap. Also, I think it's important to note that all the other terms of the contract remain in full force, and there's an acknowledgement that this is a reopening of Chapter 78. So basically, by doing an extension, it means that they're subject to provisions. The original ratification exempted them from Chapter 78. And also, the borough will be collecting 6 months sooner the amount for Phase 2 of the payment grids. Originally, the contract that was passed last year held at 1.5% until December 31st of 2012. By reopening the contract, it will basically put everyone in sync with Step 2 starting on July 1st, 2012. So the main issue here is an extension of time for 3% for the 18-month period.
Which overall, this contract, and Rich, thank you very much for working on the committee and everybody else. It's going to save the borough some time. The police did give up some stuff, I gotta admit, and I'd like to thank them for doing that. So far, it's a very good contract. Rich worked hard on it, and we'd like to get this done. The reason why is so Rich can start finishing up the budget and doing stuff. Rich has put a lot of time into it, and now it's been over 2.5 years for this contract, so we're at the point where they're going to sign, we would sign, and then give them the 18-month extension at 3%, and like Rich said, after June 15th, we'll be back to negotiate again. So it gives us some breathing time to see what the economy's going to do, where we're headed, because we don't know if we'll be under Chapter 78 there. It's supposed to end, and we don't know what the governor's going to do. So it gives us some breathing time to know what we're doing.
You might move this in, that's a motion for adoption, I'll second.
Now, are we making a motion to adopt the memorandum?
This?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yes.
There is no motion necessary to adopt the agreement because we ratified that. The changes that are in the agreement are the ones that we had discussed, the wording changes back in July. So that is actually yes, the agreement that was signed by the police department, which is the one before us this evening, just needs to be signed, and that mirrors the ratified agreement that we already approved in July. The motion is to accept the addendum.
Which extends it for 18 months, gives them a 3% raise for 18 months, and does it.
That takes that off the grid.
That puts them on the grid immediately.
And put some on the grid immediately.
Like 6 months sooner.
Yeah, my question for this council is, first I'll address it to the solicitor. Has the solicitor had an opportunity to read this agreement that's been brought?
Which one?
The one that was just handed to me last night at 7 p.m.
Yes,
You read the entire thing?
I read the additions because there were very few additions that we had to revise.
I mean to put you on the spot.
No, I did.
My question to everyone at this, 7 p.m. last night, this contract was emailed to myself, and it was put in the inboxes of members of council. I do appreciate that the police negotiating committee got together today. The majority of the police committee got together today. And went
All
over-
of them.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I was here.
I apologize for that. Went over it. My problem is that I'm being asked to vote on something that I haven't had a chance to read. We've waited, as Mike pointed out, 2.5 years to negotiate the contract. On June 27, 2011, we ratified this contract, and everyone except for Ms. Passio was here, and we read the contract out loud, because at that moment, we had not read the contract either. And we read it out loud so all of us were familiar with it. My question this evening is, we received this last night. I do not doubt that our Labor Council, our solicitor, and the committee has looked at this, but I understand tonight we're going to be asking to have a special meeting in about 2 weeks because the budget is not being reduced tonight. What I'm asking for this board to do, this council to do, is to wait to authorize this memorandum until that day. Give us 2 weeks to read it. We waited 10 months to get this as Jack says, it was reduced to writing. You know, we read it, we gave it back to the police. It took 10 months to edit this contract. They signed it last night. We've not seen it. I know many members of council have not seen it. I don't want to put anybody else on the spot, and I think we should at least read it, and then, I'm not opposed to the memorandum of understanding, I'm not opposed to anything in the contract. I think the contract is a very good contract. I just question why we're rushing to approve this evening.
What do you don't want to approve the contract or the?
Well,
Actually, if I could just make one point of clarification, there's no approval required for the contract, that just requires signatures of the governing body.
Yeah, I'm not willing to extend a contract that we haven't read the final draft of. I mean, is this correct, Jack? This is the final draft.
It is.
And this has been approved.
Well,
It was approved by us back in July.
but not this particular draft. There was a different draft that we read, and that draft did not have civil service language in it, correct?
Essentially, what we had done is we had made recommendations back in July as to things that we wanted changed, and that agreement reflects those changes.
Yeah.
They were all wording. We included language such as, that says, we're going to abide by civil service rules and regulations, things along those lines, the dates need to be changed, things along those lines have all been amended. And that is in the agreement that is to be signed. That's the first issue. And the second issue is the three addendums. And that is to extend the collective bargaining agreement 18 months, to have the 3% increase effective over that 18 months. And all of the terms will continue in full force in effect until June 30th, 2015. The biggest question that I had when we were originally doing this is outlined in this memorandum where they acknowledge that the amendment constitutes a reopening of the bargaining agreement within the meaning of Chapter 78. That was the only concern that I had these last 10 months, so that has been satisfied.
I understand, and I understand that we have acted in the past 10 months as this contract is enforced, which we all believe that this contract is enforced.
They're abiding by it.
They are abiding by it, I don't disagree. In 10 months, though, it took to reduce it to writing, to make those, what we call trivial changes, to do civil service and things that we agreed needed to be put in here. It took 10 months to do it. We got it last night at 7 o'clock. The officers signed it this morning at 9 o'clock. And
I have the signature pages yesterday.
there was one officer that didn't sign it.
He signed it last
He signed it last
night.
night. Okay. I think it's right, and we have signatures. You're asking every member of council to sign this contract. And we had problems in the past, this council has had problems in the past, signing contracts before we read everything. We all remember what happened 6 years ago. This contract is worth, the salaries and wages for the police department is, and it's $2.1 million. So this contract is for 5.5 years. So this is an $11 million contract. All I'm saying is, let's just make sure there's no typos in it.
I'm trying to explain to you, we went over it, the CFO went over it, he's been working on it, like you said, for 10 months.
Absolutely.
I'm done with it, I want to have a vote tonight, I want
It's fine.
to have the way, but to move on.
There's a motion and a second, so
Because I know, Pat, she doesn't know what I wanted to, with this contract. All she knows is the addendum of what's going on with this.
Well, I just received this, and I'm certainly not a speed reader.
Right,
And
right.
I, in all fairness to myself and to others, how can I say yes?
you just received it just now?
I just received this just now, so
You
I'll
didn't
take
get copies
it just
yesterday,
like
is it,
reading
Mike?
it.
Respectfully, there is not a line for the councilwoman to sign the original contract as she wasn't a member at that point.
What's a part, well, she's going to be part of the addendum.
The memorandum. Oh, yeah.
Also, the way the first review of the contract was to load the original contract and the latest contract into Word and track the changes electronically. So it shows all the changes that were made in the contract. That is the first document you have, the larger one with the strikeouts and the underlines. The second item was to go through line by line, and we've done that. And this
contract
Excuse
agreed.
me, did Lou do that with you today?
What's that?
For that meeting, was Lou there?
Lou wasn't at the meeting. Lou did the review on the Word document. Did I present?
And that's the email that I got.
If you take the 2009 police contract and you put the memorandum of understanding that was part of the package on 627, everything that we had requested monetarily and change-wise is included in the contract, and there's no conventions in Disney World or anything like that. We definitely made
I
sure.
don't disagree that the committee did their job,
Right.
but you're asking for my signature.
I would
You're
bet
asking
that-
for my vote as the elected representative.
Right.
And I'm saying, I'm a copy of an email, and it says this is a comparison between today's version and the expired version. You should check to make sure that there are no extra changes other than what you agreed upon. I do see a few minor typos, but I did not do a thorough review. And this is an email sent by Lou Rosner, our labor council, yesterday at 3:45. So, our labor council, who spent 2.5 years on this, he has not even had an opportunity. And you said he was not part of the committee's meeting today?
Who gave us this thing, Rich?
What's that? It was from,
I don't want to keep playing with this because, number one, they signed it, it's not right that we don't sign it to them. They signed it.
You've already ratified it.
Yeah, so then all we're going to talk about is this addendum.
So we're talking about this one sheet.
But the addendum, if everyone, realizes that this addendum was, we're in the middle of a lawsuit against the police department to sign the contract. This addendum is some compromise that we made to get them to sign it. And just to let the police and everyone know, I don't have a problem with the memorandum. I think it's good. It clarifies Chapter 78. I don't think the raises are out of line, even though I don't disagree that other people have not gotten raises. But, the 2% cap is what we are allowed to raise, and this council agrees on that. The police did agree to 0 and 0 for the first 2 years of this contract. I just would like an opportunity to read it. I was part of this process 2.5 years ago. I appreciate it. We're not going to change anything, Mike.
But there is one difference. We had one individual who negotiated that contract,
Who was that?
Mayor.
No, then you're talking about two, you're talking
Well,
about.
yeah, you're bringing back what it was.
But if you
We didn't
recall,
read it.
but who votes on it?
Council does.
So even though you're saying that the
No,
mayor,
well,
previous mayor negotiated it, this council, this previous body voted to approve and ratify that contract.
My point-
We want the secretary to sign it.
Excuse me.
You ratified
They ratified it, but it's signed.
My only point was, and I respect your opinion,
it. Okay.
but what I'm saying to you is that this is not the same scenario that you're painting about security.
I know.
Because you have 4 people that have spent a lot of time on it. So, I mean, we've read this and operated from sheets and put it together. And actually, it's prevented the CFO most of the time from, that's one of the reasons why we're late with the budget, because we had to get this thing in.
I do
And you relate to other people not getting raises. The police department did not get any raises that year either. So, if anybody's sitting out there
I made
saying
that clear that they
that the
did
police
0
have
for
got
the first
raises,
2 years.
and they didn't, that's not
Yes.
true.
Yeah, first 2 years they did 0. But let me clarify again. Even in 2000, when the original contract that we're discussing, that was ratified by 6 members of the council,
Mhm.
2 of which are on this council right now. And I know the blame was put on the fact that it was negotiated in closed doors, which I don't
Solely
disagree.
by a person.
I don't disagree.
Okay.
But just like if that was negotiated in closed doors, it was brought to this council and asked to sign it. How is that any different than you guys today reviewing this and saying to me, we reviewed it, vote yes, trust me.
There is a difference.
I mean, we have
Because we had it.
CFO in it, our committee was in it.
Your labor council was not in it, your solicitor. All I'm saying,
You don't.
do what you want to do. I'm proposing that you just postpone for 2 weeks and do it on the April 16th meeting.
We worked too far, we came too long, not what I want to do. We sat down today and read it. I mean, if you didn't want to read it, that was okay by me.
I didn't want to read it, I got it at 7 o'clock last night.
Well, you had all day today.
I'm sorry, I did what I was at. I got up to page 22, which I think I clarified with you when we were walking in here.
22.
I got up to 22. What's the rush?
You don't have
I'm
retirement, and then
Mr.
from there, there's no changes.
Mr. Wright, Mr. Wright.
You got retirement, one more page, retirement, everything's done in retirement, I can show you right here, this is the only thing in retirement that we put in new. It'll start, the contribution insurance premium at their, same rate as they're paying when they retire.
Mr. Wright,
And the rest says there.
are
no
you done
change.
with the contract at this point?
What does that mean?
If we do not,
Private, sorry.
yes, if we don't ratify the resolution this evening,
Right.
for the amendment, will you have to do any work on this for the next 2 weeks until we ratify?
I will answer it this way. Obviously, it's council's choice whether they take action tonight or not. I think that there's some new leadership in the police department that's been working with us on the contract side. And the reason that we pushed over the last 2 weeks is because we had the PERC hearing, which was not a lawsuit yet, but I mean, it's still in action, scheduled for April 17th. And we really wanted to work this out among ourselves, not have to go up to PERC and not have to spend the money for lawyers and arbitrators and things of that nature. In good faith, they have come forward and have signed the document. And at the same time we were working on that, we had been working on the addendum. And I think it's not a gun to the head type scenario. It's a good faith issue that we told them, that we'll work these two things out together. And my concern would be that if we didn't act tonight, then we would have a signed contract from the police and we didn't take action. That might be how to say it.
But, Mr. Wright, we took action on June 27th.
I do not dispute that.
Okay.
I've been here.
You've been here.
I-
We ratified it on June 27th,
Correct.
2011. It's been 10 months, and they signed it last night. And you're saying the PERC hearing is on April 17th. I'm proposing that on April 16th, we approve the memorandum.
We have not confirmed the meeting date. So
Well, I jumped ahead. I know it's on the agenda. At least there's discussion to have a special meeting to introduce our budget, which I hope we will introduce on the 16th.
Well, we would have to be in a position to have complete our meeting with the department heads as far as budget is concerned, and finalize that. And if we're ready, we could do it on the 16th. I'm not sure we can do that. I'm not the CFO.
Well, I spoke to the CFO. I'm under the impression.
I'm not going to
You have a percent-
I'm not going to paint myself into that box.
Okay, fine. We still have, let me remind everyone, we had a special meeting on June 27th to ratify this contract. So once again, we could have a special meeting on the 16th, half hour, to approve the memorandum. It's reading the contract, it's worth $11 million.
You got 10 pages, no changes. I show you right here, 10 pages you have. There's no changes.
Mr. Wright, how many copies of this draft have we gotten over the past 10 months? Yeah, okay. Mr. Wright, you know for a
I
fact
don't want to
that-
spar with you, but I mean, the relevance, I mean,
Relevance
this
is
is
there's been many
the,
changes,
this is
correct?
the final.
This is the final. I would like to read the final. That's all I'm going to do. Council may do as it pleases. It will not change in 2 weeks. We are still enforcing this document that was
I
ratified.
don't know, because you'll probably come up with something else.
I will not. They've already signed.
2.5 years you did.
I've been off the negotiating committee for a year and a half.
Well, why didn't you get it done?
Because at the time, both sides felt that going to PERC was the right answer. And this council, less than 3 months ago, went back to PERC on its own to force them to
We
sign
didn't
this.
go there. We didn't go to the perk.
We filed,
We
Jack,
didn't go.
did we not file a
We did,
motion?
we filed, we didn't go.
We have a
Not
hearing on the
yet.
17th.
We still have time to work that.
Yeah. So the door's closing on the 17th. I don't dispute it.
So when, you want to have the meeting then, Tony, the 16th?
I mean, I don't know if everybody's prepared to do that, but. First of all, I'm leaving, not that I'm cutting the issue, but I'm leaving Richard at 16th because if not, we have to have another emergency meeting for the budget. So,
You're talking about emergency appropriations.
pardon me?
You're talking about if the budget isn't passed, we're going to end up having another emergency
But
appropriation.
we're hoping to be able to introduce our budget by the end of the month.
Introduction.
And I don't know, to be honest, I don't know if we can do that by the 16th. That's, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
I'm not disputing that.
So I don't want to say we can do that by the 16th.
Mr. White, do you have any comments?
I'm back to
Ms. Pasco?
I say we vote on it, give it
Okay.
They came in good faith, and you're only voting on the amendments, you're not voting on all contracts. Contracts already done.
It's fine with me. I mean, you're saying good faith. What did we do on June 27th? When we ratified? I mean,
I make a motion, we vote.
All those in
What
favor?
is the motion?
I make, resolution 2012-62 would be the memorandum, the document you have.
Enter into the memorandum.
Yes.
Who made the motion, Mike? Who made the second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Paz?
no.
Mr. Kozlowski?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Pasio? No. And Mr. Beatrice?
Yes.
That's 3 ayes, 2 no, and 1 absent.
I'd like to thank Rich for all your hard work. I appreciate it. My report, man.
Do you have anything else?
No, that's my report, thank you.
You're going to get
Oh,
the
sorry.
police report?
The police report, so far this year, we have 208 arrests. We had 21 hours of overtime, which is, we had a couple of detectives go out, and I don't know if I can tell what it is, but there's couple of guys in this town weren't doing the right thing, and the detectives staked them out, and they did a great job on them. I think the immigration gave us some information on the one gentleman, he did some kind of I don't know. Chief, are you allowed to talk about it, or?
Yeah, I'll discuss it. Actually, I don't know if everybody's aware of it. I know most mayor and councilors, but we have,
Stand up front.
I have an officer in my department that I took forfeiture money. Forfeiture money is money that we collect when we raid a house for drugs. If there's cash in there, we can prove that it was proceeds. We file for forfeiture, we take possession of the money down the line, it's signed over to us. The courts actually do this. We put that into a fund. I had enough money in there to send an officer to Florida for training. And he's actually, I can almost say he's probably an expert at cyber crimes. I happened to go to a New Jersey State Chiefs Association meeting about a little over a year ago. And there was an FBI agent there, and he was trying to recruit officers that had that knowledge. And I volunteered one of my officers, and he currently was sworn in as an FBI agent. He still works here out of the police department, and that gives me access to all their equipment. I currently have a computer that's right in this building. It's a computer that runs 24/7, and it scans, it has software in it, and it scans a 25-mile radius of this police department. And anybody that accesses a child porn site, it automatically shows with red flag. The officer gets a notification on his smartphone. He comes in here, he grabs the IP address, he files a subpoena, and we go arrest the person. If the person's out of town, my officer has the authority to actually go there and arrest them if the other town doesn't want to get involved. But just recently, we had ICE, it's a federal agency. They also have the same system, and they got a hit, believe it or not, on a residence that turned out to be, it was shown a cyclical address, but it turned out to be in Runnymede. And at the same time, we also got a hit on another house in Runnymede, so we hit both houses at the same time and arrested both occupants for child porn.
Good for you.
I didn't know if we were allowed to discuss, that's why
Chief, who's paying this fella? Are we paying or the FBI?
I bet.
Okay.
But he still does it, he still has his duties there, he has to go to training once a month, and he just reports up there to the state police up in
And
Hamilton.
who's the gentleman you're speaking about, sir?
Chris Robinson.
Thank you, Mark.
And that's one of the reasons why the overtime was up a little bit. They had to prepare in the morning their case and, usually we try to keep it down a little bit more. And our class twos are doing excellent. Howard Brooks, he's excellent out there on the street. So that's my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm under personnel, and I did round the copies off up there. Here it said, to learn CPR free on June 2nd or the 3rd from 9 to 1. This is done at the Kennedy Memorial Hospital down in Stratford. There's phone numbers there that you can call if you'd like to learn CPR. So they're giving free classes now. So under personnel, I can say that. Otherwise, progress. Tony?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of things to report. First, really good news. The JIP Insurance had their 60th award breakfast a week ago Monday. Runnymede contingent attended that. And once again, Runnymede placed in the money. We're getting another award from the JIP. And a very special thing happened several years ago. Fred Liberty asked me to present a program to the JIP, and we went there at a regular quarterly safety committee meeting of the JIP, both Fred and I, and presented the idea of the the Beaverbrook Alliance. That's the fire companies that got together so to make sure that we have people on duty through weekends and nights, etc. They told us that it was a great program. They didn't think it would suit the JIP. Well, I have to tell you that we got a very special award at the breakfast. We were recognized for presenting the Beaverbrook Alliance to the JIP because they later changed their mind. Now we have 4 towns participating in it. We talked about it a while back, but it sort of makes you feel good. We didn't get the #1 award because a young lady from Winslow was putting out a weekly flyer that she had to prepare by herself about safety things. But I'm very, very proud of Runnymede and Fred Liberty in particular for coming up with the idea with the other chiefs from the other towns, Harrington, Belmar, and Magnolia. So we're very, very happy about the JIP recognition. Also, there's another piece of recognition out here from the library. And I just want you to know a couple of things that the library is doing. Where they have a 4th, 5th, and 6th grade youth that are going to participate in the Earth Day walk cleanup. The PTA is going to be making a sizable purchase for reading books. Also, there's a new adult reading club. This book club, books reading, they read books. And Mrs. Laviana is in the audience tonight. That's a group that starting together. It's new, and it's scheduled to meet on April 4th at 6:30. And we also were in receipt of a letter from the governor addressed to Mrs. Descendant, our director of the library. In honor of Library Lovers Month, I'm pleased to recognize the Runnymede Public Library for its invaluable contributions to the community. It goes on to say how much libraries play a key count in all our communities throughout the state. And with the advent of the internet, libraries have also become valuable sources of information on job and career resources that can assist with positive life changes. So, in essence, what it is, it's a letter from the governor recognizing the library of Runnymede. I thought that was very commendable. Also, we received a letter from the governor telling us about the reduction because of the health benefit reforms that took place in the state. And I can tell you that Runnymede will save $156,318, which is tremendous. It's broken down as far as the amounts for the Runnymede Borough, the Runnymede Board of Education, and et cetera. So, and the police and fire was $140,000. So it goes to show you that, you know, we're doing some things right in Runnymede, and we're very proud of it. Just want to let you know, any others that want to attend the Mount Eagle Shred Day event, they're going to have the shredding on Saturday, June the 30th, from 8 to 11 at the municipal building. You're free to bring your recyclables there. I'm chinching on that. Chinching is a word we used when I was growing up, meaning that we're take a little bit. But anyway, in any case, this is something that you may see in the Borough of Runnymede. You're permitted to have a shredding event in your own town. You can use, Clean Communities monies to do that, and you do get the credit for recyclables that it generates. I have one more thing, very, very exciting to me anyway. We met in Magnolia with the brand new mayor. We introduced ourselves, Mr. Kozlowski, actually me, Barrington, Councilman Kozlowski, the mayor, and myself. We went there and met the new mayor. We talked about some things that maybe we might do in sharing services. Just recently, the mayor with two of his council people came here to review our courtroom, our jails, our police department, et cetera. They were very impressed. The point being that this council is forever looking for ways to share services with other towns, to save the residents some money. So we have a willing partner in Barrington, a very nice gentleman. So we're putting our heads together. We hope to have our public works departments get together. Larry Richards also there to throw his, he's only got a penny left of his 2 cents, but he indicated that in some areas, or we talked about some areas where we might help each other. And the object of the thing is to help each other. So I just want to let you know that we are trying to help each other.
Thank you, Johnny. Frank, does anybody have a report for Frank?
Frank wanted me to ask John Gunn to come up and give his report on what is it, John, the Queens Community, I believe?
Yes.
Something that they're setting up, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I just asked him that. Thanks, John.
Come on.
I recently had to get certified in recycling. In doing so, they stressed the need to teach the children. That's the key to getting a successful recycling program. So I went to my coordinator, Frankie Williams, and I said, I have a few ideas for this. There's a poetry contest that happens every year, and I think we should reach out to some people like Kathy Lucinda and Patty DeSale and all, and put our efforts together and get a poetry contest going. And in doing so, a lot of ideas come about, and we came up with the idea on the 22nd of they have a walkathon for key towards children, where they start from 2 points and they go and they clean up litter and recyclables, and we separate them. And it's still in the process right now, and we're throwing a lot of ideas around, but it looks like it's going to be a good turnout, and looks like it's a good move, you know.
It's April 22nd, what time is that, John?
10 to 1.
10 to 1?
Where's that going to be?
We're going to start at the Harry Williams building and also at Mary Volk's. There'll be 2 setup stations.
And then the rain date will be 27th, right? Or
Yeah.
29th.
It's a week, it's Sunday after, it's on Sunday. And there's going to be 3 groups that will be receiving the Clean Communities mini grant. And one is the Runnymede Education Foundation, one is Triton High School Horticultural Club, and one is Maryville's Environmental Club. And we're going to have hot dogs and potato chips and order, and hopefully face painting, and that'll be all at the Harry Williams Building after the cleanup.
And where do they walk to?
We're gonna
The older children are going to start from the Williams Building, and the younger children are going to start from Vaults. The younger will go down and around the anchors, and the older, I believe, will probably intend to go down the bike path.
We're going to do the bike past Ninth Avenue, the RYAA, all in that area,
Yes.
and we're also going to go down to probably Green Acres, and then back to Mary Knowles, do all around Mary Knowles.
And the poetry contest is the 4th through 6th graders. And then I did have Joyce produce a bunch of coloring books, because I wanted to also reach out to the younger children, and we gave Sue Wallace like 400 coloring books to distribute to the younger kids. And they're basically, the theme is for stormwater, like how litter ends up in the stormwater, then ends up in the streams, and how just trying to get the kids motivated and don't motivate parents, you know? And hopefully it'll work, hopefully it'll be a success. And also, these yard waste is really never stopped this year, it's every Monday. I just want people to know that. And if we don't get you done, sometimes there's very lot of yard waste out there, and sometimes we have equipment problems, we haven't forgotten, we will get out there.
Thanks, Gary. Recreation, Nick?
Thank you. I want to report that the 10 bleachers we purchased last month were delivered and we received them. They're starting to be assembled right now by our volunteers at both the Borough Youth Athletic Association and the Borough Girls Softball League. Each organization got a split. The RYA got 6 and the softball has 4 of them. The Public Works Department went down and removed the bleachers that were no longer met the safety requirements. Those were the old wooden bleachers and things like that. So the new ones meet the requirements. They're a little lower, but they're very nice. And there's no, they meet our safety requirements. Summer rec will be coming up soon, so we'll be getting a letter out to the schools about it. I'm meeting with Mr. Wright on the 6th to go over the budget items. At least the preliminary to understand what we spent last year. I'm assuming we're just going to try to maintain the same program we had last year with the same fees that we charged and the same activities, and hopefully the same summer rec director will come back. And we just have to find some counselors. It was the gentleman from, his counselor, who was the director.
Right.
But they was, he did a very nice job. And I will at least reach out to him again and make sure that there's anything, keep it going the same way. I was reaching, the officer Zampolsky reached out to me about the softball fields down at Green Acres Park, Beaver Branch Park. We're going to hopefully do some work down there. The men's league pays some fees to the borough to use that, and we're going to try to use those fees to maintain that. Obviously, it's a construction engineering project that's going on, but until that's happening, we're going to try to alleviate some of the water problems. Maybe just get some dirt, and at least give that to them with the money that they pay. I would like to ask Ms. Panzarella to come up and speak to us, because I just want to remind everybody, so I don't get anything wrong, we have opening day for baseball and t-ball this coming April 14th, which is a Saturday morning. There's a parade from Old School to the fields, and I'm sure all of members of council and the mayor are invited. And it's also the 60th anniversary of the RYA. Ms. Panzarella?
Again, I'd like to extend an invitation to everyone. It's going to be, obviously, the festivities are going to be a lot larger than normal because it is our anniversary. I was in contact and with Captain Daly regarding having Elm Avenue shut down for the whole day that day, as opposed to just during the parade. It'll alleviate people parking along the street there, and we have more kids playing right now than in the years past. He agreed and said that they would leave the road closed throughout the whole day. It's going to be from about 9 in the morning until between 5 and 6, I would say, before everyone is gone. So again, it being 60 years, and we're going to have people that were some of the original founding fathers and, you know, people along the way that are going to be there, and just honored and throwing out the first pitch and so on and so forth. So, again, if you could come out, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. Are we cementing them,
Yes, actually softball poured their footings. I'm sorry to interrupt, Nick, but I worked with softball through this. I emailed the actual specs and sizes of the bleachers before they were even delivered, and they actually worked on pouring their footings before they were, you know, they actually got there. Ours, there's only one that didn't have a concrete pad as of right now, and we only have 4 installed. They take a little longer than I think what we expected to install, so we got 4 done in the rain with volunteers that don't even have kids that were actually, we had 4 volunteers up at the RY. One boy, raise your hand, was up there in the rain with us on Saturday putting together bleachers. So the one that doesn't have a concrete pad for us to actually anchor it to, there's only one at the RY that we still have to do. But again, we still have 2 to put together, so. All right, but they look, I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. They look.
They're small, they could be unbolted and brought to the
Yeah.
soccer fields.
They actually don't seat any less than the ones we had. They're just, the IBC code changed in 2006, and Nick, when he said they look too little, and they do. They are, you know, they're obviously close to the ground, but you didn't lose any seating. They're just a safer, you know, structure now. So we totally appreciate it, I have to tell you. And I thank the Public Works as well, because my group and I were down there ready to figure out what we were going to do with the bleachers that we could not, you know, they're so out of code and, you know, against all the safety rules and the codes that are out there now. And the Public Works Department actually came down and handled that for us. So that was a huge thing. Much appreciated. Thank you.
You have a question?
Yes.
When would they all be there so they can be inspected by the kids?
Well, the idea is that they'll all be put together before opening day, so that would be the 14th.
Would give me the day.
But if the GIF wanted to come anytime, I would say after the end of this
After-
month.
After they're assembled, they want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say after May 1st.
After they first.
4 will be at softball. 4.
And the only problem is the GIF will notice that we still have a few bleachers that don't need the squad. There's still a few down there that are a little bit higher, things like that. But if they point it out, maybe it's something we'll take care of also. These were the worst ones. These were the ones that we had the most problem.
If they see you moving along.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Any more?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Engineer, construction aid.
Thank you, Mayor. Engineering committee and Mr. Bob, and we worked together last month on the road projects, and bids came out last week, and all came in on the budget. And it's basically working on final documents for the award jobs. We get started soon. That would be Tech Ramp, Reed Avenue, and East Third and East Second. We have to finish the documents. Low bids came in, we had to make sure everything works on order.
For the handicap ramp, it is Diamond Construction, which we haven't heard of. We are looking into the Reed Avenue was Espatata Construction Company, and we haven't heard of that, so we have to look into their, and the East 3rd and 2nd Avenue project was Bogey's Trucking.
It's coming back to one week.
All bids came in very well. Other than that, report progress.
Thank
I just have one question. When do you think we would be going out for bids for the bathroom facility?
That is my top priority, along with West 3rd, and I'm hoping to go out within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there like is there going to get a drawing of that bathroom facility that we can take a quick look at? Honestly, the concern I have is just men's league and using the facility down there. I know there's a small storage area. And the idea is, one of the things that they asked me was, you know, the way we put this dirt down, there's some dragger, you know, to level the field. Will there be some storage room in there?
There's storage facility in the back.
There's like a 10-foot by 20-foot garage or
It's like a
something.
20-foot garage?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, okay.
That's where the ball's going to be.
I don't want to promise that space, but.
Not behind it.
Yeah. If we do purchase a, you know, a few $100 dragger.
You're gonna build a building down there.
Put a building?
Yeah, you put in the other building, you want to knock it
No, this is down at
Oh,
Green
okay.
Acres. No, I didn't want to knock that building down, Mr. Rutledge. I think we should repair that building.
It's good.
And Robert.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay. Health education officer, Pat.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. March 10th, the rabies clinic was a huge success. We had 162 pets who were vaccinated, and the Canton County Animal Shelter microchipped 11 pets. The Runnymede Women's Club collected much-needed donations for the AWA in Voorhees, which is a no-kill shelter. I need to make a special thank you to Alexis Burns, who donated $80 of her birthday money from her 12th birthday. She wanted to help animals in need. Alexis is a 6th grade student in Bolts Middle School. Alexis will always be remembered for her generosity and kind heart. On January 12th, there was more than 26,000 gallons of diesel fuel that was spilled into our surrounding waterways. At that time, a boom was placed at Timber Creek in Runnymede to monitor and to collect any fuel that might have spilled. I requested daily updates on the collection of the fuel regarding our surrounding lakes and the effects it has had on our environment. Ms. Ray Hutton, Senior Director of Legislative Affairs for New Jersey Transit, has assured me that the fuel spill did not extend past the spillway of Blackwood Lake, and early last month, the boom at Timber Creek was removed. This was confirmed by inspections conducted by the Department of Environmental Protection, Gloucester County Health Department, Gloucester County Emergency Management, the State Marine Police, and the U.S. Coast Guard. If you need to report any wildlife incidents or for questions, you can contact the New Jersey Transit Hotline at 1-800-626-7433. This hotline will remain active, and the New Jersey Transit will remain on site at the lakes that have been affected until cleanup has been totally complete. And I'll ask Joyce if she can put some of that information on our website. March 28th, I attended the school board meeting where Nancy Ward presented to the public a brief presentation on the school budget as she did this evening. On March 29th, I attended the Black Horse Pike Regional School District meeting where Triton has a new outdoor project. The superintendent recommended to the board to approve a $10,000 donation towards a labyrinth, a project at Triton, which will be the first at a school in South Jersey. This project will have a walkway with engraved pavers, outdoor chalkboard, and seating for new teaching space. The donation was given by Mike Palmieri, president of Linmar Builders and a Triton alumnus. Also, presentation of their budget was given. They have zero tax rate increase for the year 2012-2013 school year. The reasons for this was that they only spent for essential items and have saved the taxpayers money by reducing administrative staffing by 30%, which is $300,000. Their cafeteria has improved services and reduced a deficit of over $125,000. And I have copies of their accomplishments and their budget. If interested, I'll give anyone a copy. Also, it was presented that when ratables go down, shares go up. Gloucester Township, a house that will cost $198,000 assessed at, will be $3.70 less than what they paid last year. Belmar, a house that cost $170,000, will have an increase of $31.22. And Runnymede, a house that costs $99,209, will have an increase of $34.06. And Rich, can you please explain this to us?
Yes, basically, we have a ratio, and she has a chart on our wall. We have a ratio of about 65%, which is the reason that we're doing the reassessment, so we're not at 100%. So basically, when your ratio, or your ratables go down, I think Jack was talking earlier about the pie. The levy amount is the same, but a portion of the pie that Runnymede shares because of our ratio goes up.
So can you tell me what a rateable is?
A rateable, that basically that's the value of the property. That tells you the term value for that. So basically we have, well, I guess to answer the question, why did it go down? We've had tax appeals. And basically because the tax appeals have gone down, it's changed the amount that
So is that a good thing for Runnymede with
I think the reassessment is good because it will put us at 100%, which would be our actual value. So with both regards to the schools and the county, there will be no math at the county board level that determines what our share of those items are. We'll be paying based on our actual profits.
So even though it was zero, the budget,
Are you talking about the regional?
right, even though the regional said it
So
was
if
zero?
their levy was the same,
Well, they're going, Gloucester Township's going down $3.70, and they're saying, but we're the highest.
So we're compensating
So
for
we're
that, is
still-
that what I'm hearing? We're compensating because of the
Basically,
form.
yes.
Yeah, it's tough.
This concludes my report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On that note, Brian is here tonight, he just emailed me. We have 12 tax appeals on file, the majority of them are commercial properties. Only 3, I think, are, 1, 2, 3 are residential. So I don't know what the impact is. They, what you have to do with Brian, as to whatever his recommendation will be for that. But that was expected this year to see the appeals all over the state. Nobody's selling their homes for what they thought that they could sell them for a few years ago. Or your businesses are worth that much. So,
What was the cutoff for appeal?
April 1st. Actually, they gave it to the second because of the following weekend. But when you revale, I don't know if it applies to the reassessment, you have to check that out. When you revale, when you're revaling your town, you get until May 1st to appeal that assessment, which I am doing right now. So that's how I know that.
Thank you. Rich, you have anything more to report?
I do, just a couple of them. Before you tonight will be, I request an action on a temporary appropriation resolution. The main item on that is the pension bill, because the pension bills are due in April, and that makes up the lion's share of the report. I believe that we had $423,000 was the amount for police and fire, and $160,000 was the amount for public employees. The other main item in there would be, I included 2 more months for group insurance and for sanitation landfill costs. And the smaller items were just departments that were running low, and I included a couple more pages of that. I would like to start off by saying thank you to the mayor. I was, picked as the representative for the Borough Meeting that participated in the Teacher for the Day program. So I was co-teaching 4th grade at Old School. It was a wonderful experience, and I'm glad to be back as CFO. But the kids are great, the teachers are great. It was really a good time. I've never done anything like that. So,
I thought he's got little ones, so let him go.
and my daughter's in 4th grade, so I got to see what she does every day. The other item, I think that we talked about pensions earlier. What was the exact amount ballpark in your notes that the governor sent out on that? We received a revised pension bill. So if you compare the original pension bill for 2012 that came out last year to the new pension bill based on the law that passed through Chapter 78 and health benefits changes, the amount we were billed this year went down by $156,000, which is great because that means we don't have to appropriate all that money this year. If you compare what we're going to pay this year versus what we paid last year, it's actually a decrease of about $40,000, which is also good. It just doesn't sound as rosy as the governor's letter. But I just wanted to point that out back there. So, but that is good. It will definitely help us in the budgeting process this year. I think we touched on the police contract. We've spent a lion's share of time over the past 2 weeks dealing with that. I would also like to report, I think that it's okay to do this, there won't be any action on it, but I do know that the subcommittee for both Public Works and Police, for Public Works employees and Public Works management have more or less come to terms, and we need to get that put into a memorandum of agreement to present to the Borough Council. So the actual specifics will come out when the MOU is prepared. But that's another one. We have one more to go with the clerical workers. We're close, hoping that one will come through and be wrapped up with the contract relatively soon. And I'm going to that's report back.
Can I ask about the budget?
Yes, We are hoping to do that, I just don't think we can give you a date.
I mean, we were, honestly, I understand, we were statutorily responsible to introduce a budget this evening. I do understand about the contract and that, you know,
Nick, I think we need a couple more dates, you know, we just want to make sure that, you know, we give every worker a chance to come in, those who have budgets. So, you know, we want to know, you know, what your priorities are, how far you are. I know you're going to be talking about a summer program. I'm just putting plans together for Youth Week. You know, I don't know how much is going to be there, but it's a genuine program that we want to keep. I think we want to keep, and I know we want to keep the summer program. So I think we just need to put a few more pieces together. I mean, I think some of the big ticket items we've already made commitments for, as far as the road department, police department, vehicles, et cetera, like that. You know, we just need a few more days. Let me leave it at that.
that's okay.
Solicitor?
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of items. First is the MEL, Municipal Excess Liability Insurance Fund. Each year, we have to review our policy manual to make sure that it is in compliance with the MEL's recommendation. As part of a employment practices risk control update that we do every year. And there are 4 revisions that are recommended by the MEL that we actually have as ordinance number 1203 to be introduced at first reading today. The first change is a policy amendment for the American Disability Act. The second one involves the policy for email, voicemail, computer, and internet usage. The third one involves access to personnel records. And then the fourth change that the MEL is recommending is for a flexibility spending account. So it's my recommendation that we pass that first reading, and I actually have copies of their proposed policy changes, which we can circulate and we'll have for the second reading. Second item that I have is with regard to the 2 correspondences that we received, one from Brian Lezouk and the other one from David Carlemere, who is our attorney for the planning board, regarding the bulk standards for townhouses that is within the R3 zoning district. Apparently we have, within our R3 zoning districts, we have the provisions for townhouses, but there is no bulk standards. That was brought to our attention by Mr. Lezouk, who represents the developer, and then Mr. Carlemere also brought it up to us and made a recommendation that perhaps we council should put together a committee to review the bulk standards. What council's responsibility is to make recommendations as to what those standards are, present those recommendations to the zoning and planning board, and they will take action on it. So I think that Mr. Carlemere's recommendation to have a committee set up through council to look at those bulk standards and present them to not only us as a whole, but then to planning board is a good one. So I would also join in that recommendation. And the third thing that I want to talk about is the issue with regard to the easement behind Toyota. We had talked about it before to some degree with regard to whose responsibility it is to maintain and upkeep that area. The way the easement is written, which is typical of the way most easements are written, once the easement is signed and entered into, that area becomes the responsibility of the borough. So it will be our responsibility to maintain and control that property. So I guess my question is I'm looking for some direction if we want to enter into the easement at this time, because ultimately what our thoughts were when we were looking at the easement was to extend the bike path. And if council at this time doesn't have any interest in extending the bike path, then there really would be no reason for us to enter into the easement. I can contact them and let them know that they can keep the van.
The 10 feet is not enough for the bike path.
It's just barely enough room, and there's also some utility poles that are right in the middle of that easement. So you'd have to have the expense of moving utility poles out of the way. So it would be a big expense for the borough to get a bike path in that location.
And is it a safe area? I mean, doesn't it have a drop down at some point?
It would take quite a substantial amount of work to get a level area
No,
to
I
get.
mean, is there something about a retaining wall we're talking about?
The planning board approval said that if we determined from a drainage standpoint that if a retainage wall was necessary, we could have them put it in. And we're trying to evaluate whether that's necessary at this point in time. There is a steep slope there that is, my concern is it's going to be hard to maintain, whether it's the borough or Runnymede, Toyota that has to maintain it. So that's my concern is with this slope, who is going to have to cut the grass and keep trash out of there.
Excuse me, if I could interrupt you. The chairman of the planning board is here. You may be able to enlighten us a little bit about what the planning board did. Dick, can you help us out a little bit?
Whose responsibility is it to, I mean,
What's the question?
Yeah, can you, we're talking about the problem with the drainage behind Toyota. Can you help us out with that?
Yeah, I can address that to some degree.
You still on the planning board though?
Yeah.
Was you there?
Yeah.
Do you remember what happened about it?
Not totally, I missed a couple of meetings, but I just want Dick to come up. Dick, come on up.
The first planning board decision was to when Toyota wanted to expand their parking, it was voted down by a 5-4 margin. In that resolution, there was a system for a wall. Right? It went to court, and the court sent it back to the planning board because Toyota and their representative had told us that if they didn't get their approval, then they were going to give the land back to the borough and do nothing with it. Right? On the second iteration, it passed. But the wall was not in the resolution. That's my understanding of where it was, what happened, and why you got the problem. I can't address it any further than that.
so the wall's not in.
There's supposed to be a wall there to maintain the water. It was presented on a state program called Rails for Trails. In other words, old railroad property, if you could turn them into trails, that was okay to do. Right? As a matter of fact, they even funded the programs, I think, the state. Because when we done the path from Plymouth Ridge Road to Smith Lane, I think we utilized some of those funds. So that's my understanding, and that's where I understand where it is. And
Was there a question about the resolution being advertised in the paper?
not to my knowledge. What there was, that's true. I think Mr. Ragadini represented the client,
Yeah.
and the resolution he put in the paper was different than the resolution that the borough, that the planning board and our solicitor would have put in the paper. As a matter of fact, we took corrective measures and passed a ruling on the planning board that we, planning board, would approve all resolutions from the planning board to go into the newspaper that are advertised for that purpose. So I don't know whether it's a quagmire or where it stands right now, but I understand there's a runoff problem there, and I don't know the resolution.
The three members of the planning board are here this evening. Was it a different application that was submitted?
I wasn't allowed to be at the meeting.
Well,
Hold on, let's let Mr. Fitchburg.
The approving resolution, or the approving plans does not have a wall. There's one little caveat in the planning board resolution that says if there's a drainage issue, we could, as borough engineer, require the wall to go in. We were not aware of that until after the whole job was pretty much built, because we didn't get a copy of the approving resolution, we just had a copy of the approved plans. And there's no wall in the approved plans. So we've just been inspecting it based on those approved plans. And now that there's some concerns with the steepness of the slope and who's going to maintain it, my concern was if this becomes borough property, how are we going to get a lawnmower on there to cut this grass?
It's like this, isn't it?
It's like a 1-to-1 slope. So that's where I was asking Jack, is what's the easement? All I had was the easement description so that we could update the tax maps, but we haven't seen the easement language. And that's what I was asking Jack to get.
So we don't have to take the easement,
No, we don't.
no. And it sounds like if there is a drainage problem, you can force the applicant to put a wall.
According to the planning board
The
resolution,
applicants, they're
they are saying they never saw that
They want to
resolution.
be held harmless. It's not their problem.
But if it's,
From what I-
if it's their land, it's.
Yeah,
But is it the memorialized
It has to come
resolution?
back in front of us, it's out of our hands.
There's a memorialized resolution that says it is your responsibility?
That was a copy of the resolution that your planning board secretary gave to me as being memorialized. I don't know which one was in the paper.
And remember that after the use, the mayor and I don't sit in on the use of the land.
Right.
Okay, we have to leave the room, et
You have to
cetera.
leave the room.
Okay, but in any case, getting back, I think where the difficulty is, this is the way that my interpret is. We have a gentleman or legal counsel that represented Toyota. He came in, he got approval for a resolution, or whatever. He got approval, let's just say, keep it that way, where there was a resolution, right? He advertised that resolution in the paper, in the newspaper, on his own.
That's typically what happens, though. Most applicants do it on their own.
I'm trying to bring you up to where it's at, Nick.
Hey, I
okay?
understand that, but you're.
Okay, but wait a minute. Then the planning board memorialized a resolution like they do after every meeting the following month. Am I right there?
Correct.
So in the resolution that the planning board adopted, it's in there. The one that the applicant's attorney put in the paper, that's not happening.
So you're talking about you're not talking about the advertising.
No.
I'm not talking about
You're talking about the applicant is responsible for putting the
No, I
resolution.
did not say that. I said that's what he did.
Jack, is that typical?
It happens that way sometimes. My concern is not so much as the end result of what the resolution, because that is a planning board issue. My question was whether or not we want to take this easement. And if
I wasn't the chairman reported that comment just went over.
we have no ultimate plans to actually go forward with, or if it's inconceivable for us to put the trail back there, my question is, do we want to accept the easement? Or do we want to leave it?
Are we going to be forced in another situation where someone, where something happened, we're supposed to act, we don't have any action, are we going to end up being sued again from the applicant saying, you said it was part of the resolution that you were going to take this easement back? I mean, does that typically happen, that an easement that was granted out of planning board
Before,
then refuses it?
the way that it operates is that when the solicitor, as I understand, always prepares the resolution for in the adoptive stages. He reads the resolution. You pass the resolution, okay? The following month, you memorialize it.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what happened. This resolution was read in entirety by the solicitor. It passed. The applicant then put his interpretation of the approval in the paper. And then here comes the planning board the following month. I know, you know, look, I know, it's crazy. And the following month, the planning board memorialized the resolution, they approved the drawing.
So that's the dispute of the applicant.
Yes.
This is Toyota saying, we're not putting a wall up because we're not required for a wall.
I don't know. I've been
Yes,
involved in
that is what's, they're looking for other solutions. One was a different type of vegetation to stabilize this slope, because I'm concerned with who has to maintain it and how are you gonna cut grass on a slope that's
Let me
one-to-one.
ask the borough engineer, what do you use, how much would it cost to put a bike path there?
A lot of money. You have to move lots of utility poles,
And what, they're about, they're a couple.
like $30,000 each.
$30,000 a piece.
It cost me 3,000 to one up, when I was like,
So 30,000, how many there?
There's,
And then if it's a steep slope, we have a safety issue?
yes,
And if we don't take the easement, nothing will happen, nothing?
that's up to the,
If we say no, we don't want it, what would happen?
They'll withdraw their request to do this. I've actually had,
And that would be the end of it,
it maintains to be their property
and they have to maintain it.
Does that have any effect on this drainage question if we give it back to them?
if drainage continues to be a problem, then we can mandate that they put a retaining wall in.
Yeah, if it still becomes a problem, we take it, we have to put the retaining wall, correct?
That's,
We'd have to make, that's for sure.
So if they just, okay.
What about the residents behind each one of those properties?
well, you've heard from Ms. Beck when she comes here, she's the one brought it to my attention that there was some drainage
the
issues
only
back
ground
there.
that has a water problem. I haven't heard it from anybody else.
The-
Am I right?
There's 3 properties there that have this steep slope, and it would be a problem to maintain it.
Just
Because
three
if
properties.
Toyota neglects it and it comes up, becomes the individual homeowners that have to take care of it on their own, that's putting a lot of responsibility on them.
Because a lot of them used the property that wasn't theirs to begin with, right? I'm serious.
So you wouldn't deed it to the people then?
That's an option you can pursue, but I don't know if the homeowners would want to take on that responsibility.
Okay.
I know we're talking around one of those, at the time this happened, it was not the chairman, and the mayor was not sitting on the board.
No, I
Sitting with
wasn't.
him. So, we put it in a proper,
Okay.
it's
But
been
it
that
was
long.
approved after you guys were on the board at that point?
What is,
The use was approved after you guys?
Bruce.
It doesn't matter.
You have 2 issues. One is, do you want to take the easement or not? And that's what Jack's trying to work out. And the other is what,
want it or don't?
I don't think you can make decisions quickly again. I think that it relates to repercussions. We don't run into a situation again where,
You don't take it, the property reverts back to Toyota. Their responsibility.
We don't take no action on it?
No, we don't take.
they're okay with it.
haven't talked to them about it.
I can tell you that I received a letter saying, what do you want to do with it? If you don't let me know you want to do it within 10 days, that they're going to assume that you don't want it.
Is it the whole length from Clemens Bridge Road all the way to East Sham Road?
That's correct, 10 feet wide.
10 feet wide. And that's some of the properties that the residents there used to use.
That's
Am
correct.
I right?
Yeah, that's correct.
I don't want to.
No, that is
step on
correct.
toes.
The first 3 properties are actually using it as their
From
yard.
East Sham or from Clemens Bridge?
From Clements Bridge.
Those-
Those 3 are using it, and then there are RVs are being,
No, it's not this, the Clemens Bridge side, because I live on the Clemens Bridge side, and it's not, we have Belmar Collision in our backyard. Belmar Collision's fence is up against mine. It's not that end.
Should we
It's-
maybe direct
well, Belmar Collision is parking in the easement.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Toyota?
and see what to do about it?
Then they have a building in the easement too.
Attorney, let them know that that's our concern.
Seriously, they have a building in the easement. They're not only parking there, they have a building there.
Yeah, really do.
If you really want to get technical.
Okay. I'll follow up.
Oh, they paint that sign. Can't do that either.
And that's Jack's report.
That was Jack, you didn't get a chance yet.
Thanks, Jack.
Mark, are you ready?
I'm ready. Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Councilman White alluded to, the engineer's been very busy this past month. We have the Camden County Open Space Grant that we're going to hand deliver to Jack Swarowski tomorrow. It's a $25,000 to use at for the bathrooms. It's going to help supplement the Green Acres funding we got. We took bids last Friday for 3 jobs: the 2012 Handicap Grant Program, Reed Avenue Phase 1, and the East 3rd and East 2nd Avenue projects. We've got real good bids, but unfortunately from contractors we don't know, so we have to do our due diligence and look into their references and to see if they meet all the qualifications. So we're looking to make a recommendation probably somewhere in the middle of the month, and then we'll be able to award it at the May 1st council meeting. We have 60 days to award all those projects, so we're well within that time frame. As Councilman White said, the prices were really good, so that's a good benefit to the town. West 3rd Avenue, we're in design right now. We're hoping to get that out to bid within the next 2 weeks. And the 2011 road program, now that the weather has changed, we've got our punch list out, and the contractor is supposed to be mobilizing to take care of those issues. The improvements to the various borough buildings, we made our recommendation for final payment for the municipal building roof and the Harry Williams building roof. And we have the contracts for the jail cell floor all executed. I'm just trying to coordinate the pre-construction meeting. I have to go through Department of Corrections, the police here, so it's taking me a little longer than it normally does, but right now I'm shooting for a April 17th pre-con meeting, and then construction will start shortly after that. The side egress door, we're having a water issue. It's been surveyed. We're in the middle of putting together our quote package, and we'll get 3 quotes hopefully within the next 2 weeks as well. The Black Horse Pike streetscape, we're working on the punch list with the contractor on that, so we want to get that closed out. And we talked a little bit about the Beaver Branch projects. I'm hoping to get that out to bid in the next 2 weeks as well.
Well, the reason why I called Steve on that, I was told that they'll be coming out inspecting the site, just like they do very shortly.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure our app was in there.
Okay.
That's why I called Steve.
Okay. I wasn't aware of
But
that.
I'm talking, when I first got home, I didn't know that you guys were authorized for that.
Yes, yeah, we are, yes,
But it never hurts to have everybody working for that.
sounds good, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I've got a couple things. The planning board tax maps, well, in November, we met with the plan.
Tax maps are done.
They are done.
Yes, we have a zoning map that we have to take back to the planning board.
You guys-
It's just color, it's all done. Steve just has to get a date to go back to the planning board. He's also trying to work out some language for solar, I believe, solar energy, and he was trying to get that back to the planning board in conjunction with the
Okay, that's
zoning
not the
map.
maps, it's-
The tax maps are done.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention, but did you guys speak about the public works building, about hiring that LSRP?
I didn't, I'm looking into that, where Steve is supposed to be getting a meeting set up with an LSRP to interview with them.
Don't we have a deadline of
We-
May 1st?
We're getting there,
Okay.
Yes.
I remember, it's right.
yes.
May 1st deadline, okay.
Old business.
Resolution 12-47 is under old business. This is the resolution awarding a state contract to Day Chevrolet for the purchase of 2 Tahoes to the police department. This resolution was tabled the last meeting, and this is the same resolution, but there are different numbers, so we'll have to talk to Rich about that.
You guys any figures?
12-47. The old amount was $53,370. The 2 Tahoes, it was now $57,920.37.
Correct. Basically, the price on the state contract, we had to wait for verification. It was approximately $2,000 more per week. We were able to crunch the numbers and prioritize that expenditure. So similar to what we did with the fire vehicle, the $2,000 of the police cruise, which is coming out of the operating expense for that department, is earmarked towards fleet maintenance. And again, I just want to reiterate that the main reason upgrading our equipment is because we're spending a significant amount on maintaining the older equipment. So we'll be having an auctioning off the old vehicles. We have new vehicles coming on board. The prices we received on these were excellent, and it was a good time to move on.
And one other thing, if I may. These vehicles are not going to be used for everyday use. These vehicles are going to be put at the motor vehicle and at trailer, because they're four-wheel drive and all. We're going to be getting the four-wheel drive for the winter use, because we're taking some of our old ones off the road. So they're not going to be on patrol every day. So people won't be seeing them driving around. It'll be used as needed.
So,
The original number was $25,000 that we bought the fire SU.
I believe it was 26.
is that fully equipped?
These are not pursuit vehicles, so it's not, they're not going to become fully equipped like, and again, when you say fully equipped, there's a whole list of options that could be included. They're low profile, and I think that
We're going to
have to.
swap out the radios, the cages, and the lights. Paul has that all worked out.
Well, in this economic times of ours, tell me why it's necessary that we need them to be parked somewhere.
So we don't use them every day, so they last us a long time.
So
So
why
And
not-
how are we paying for this?
It was approved in the bond from last year. So the first 25,000, which answers your question of where you have the 25, is coming from the bond.
First 25.
Right, first 25,000.
So then we're taking out of an operating expense that we haven't approved budget.
What's that?
The
We haven't
extra
approved the
money-
budget, there is money
It's
in the
coming out of the budget that we
budget.
haven't approved yet.
You're tying it to the fact that the budget's not adopted, but
Well, I'm just saying.
it's in the
we're
temporary,
concerned that we have so much money to spend.
in the temporary. That's right.
And what we're making a decision to spend extra money when I think the council president said that we should at least look at our budget, and I'm looking at,
Right.
an extra
We-
$7,000, right?
And what, yeah, I also said that we had spoken to the director, and as CFO said, Richard said to us, we're spending a ton of money on repairs.
How much we spend?
Yeah.
So that's where we.
For one example, and this is going back a couple of years, but if the vehicle's getting into the same lifespan, we had to spend $4,000 to have a rear end replaced on one of the 08 vehicles. Or, I'm sorry, one of the 98 vehicles several years ago.
But
You know,
these
at
vehicles
this point in
just
life-
sit they sit at the parking lot at the DMV, and they sit at the parking lot at.
We have, no, we have, right now, we have vehicles in our rotation that go on a daily basis back and forth through DMV and Triton. These vehicles will be earmarked to replace the cars that are currently doing that, so they're part of our rotation. If we have emergency situations, they have the four-wheel drive and they would be put on the front line.
So then they would have to be fitted out to do that job.
We have vehicles in the rotation right now that don't have all the bells and whistles on them.
They don't have lights, cages, all that stuff, this won't have any of
I
that?
think Mike just meant-
How much extra money are we gonna spend on top of $58,000?
On lettering,
Right.
lettering, because Paul says Chief, you're going to switch to the radios out, right?
Right.
How about the light bar?
If it's possible, yes. Chances are it
Paul
is.
told me he could do it. I'm just thinking that.
No cages, nothing?
They're transferable, some of them are they're universal cages, sometimes you can switch them over.
Because if we're going to look at the other three vehicles, we're going to do these purchases.
Well, that's another thing we haven't done. We didn't buy a patrol vehicle last year. We
Right.
haven't put in the budget a patrol vehicle for this year, so we're.
I think we've already approved at a previous council meeting to go out to bid for 3 for lease purchase. And again,
That's
the
what
purpose
we're
of
gonna buy
that.
3 vehicles plus the 2,
Correct.
5 vehicles.
Correct. Which has been previously discussed. The main purpose is to swap out the fleet because we have an aged fleet that's starting to cost a lot of money. And the amount that we save in vehicle repairs and the revenue coming in from the sale of the current vehicles is going to cost.
The 5 vehicles we're buying, I think we might have, could be changing the colors of the vehicles now? We're going to a different color?
I don't know, that's all.
There's no
Chief,
cost,
is that
the
we
cost
changing
is
the
the
colors?
same, whether they're black or
These
white.
2 vehicles you're gonna purchase, what color are they?
Top will be black,
Black.
yes.
So we're leaving
The cost
both
is the
vehicles,
same, whether they're black or white, sir.
But we're changing the colors of our fleet.